Luke. I appreciate you showing up to the pod once again. I want to have a few questions with you. Just like a good conversation, bro.
It's good to see you, G. It's good to see you. We had dinner?
We had a nice dinner, good vibes, good company.
Phenomenal connecting with people and all my boys and stuff like that coming together. I think it was great.
Definitely, I definitely agree. I appreciate you pulling us all together.
You got me some Tom Ford, bro. That's some G bro. I appreciate it.
Of course. I mean, I know you travel a lot, so you're going to the fight and then you're doing another Capital Club event?
Yeah, I'm doing a Capital Club event in Phuket, Singapore, and then I'm headed to Singapore. Do you mind if I say something about what you did though, so the audience knows before we get started?
Most definitely.
So something that you did, which is really, really interesting that I think right off the bat people are going to find really valuable, and you may have not even noticed, is you're like, I realized that you traveled a lot, therefore I provided a value point. Hey, it's a cologne, Tom Ford, beautiful, phenomenal, smells great, but you identified a need or you identified something that I was doing, you studied me, and then you established rapport by gifting me something, which a lot of Americans I've realized don't do. They don't gift friends and company and things like that, and that just commends your level of entrepreneurship and level of awareness. So well done. And I think if people do that, bro, it just allows them to build a better network.
No, much love. I appreciate that. And I definitely agree with that. I think one thing about also building connections isn't just the business side, but it's always, a personal side and just good hospitality. And is that something that you did whenever, you're trying to start building connections? And if so, do you have any examples?
Yeah. So when I was at Tristan Tate's house last month, I knew his favorite whiskey was Johnny Walker Blue Label, because I'd studied him and I was like, okay, I know what this guy likes and I'm going to gift him something in accordance to what he likes. Because, so many times people go out and gift things that they like, not necessarily that other people like. And I realized that if you want to build relationships in your network, you need to be able to study people just like you study a market, just like you study a product, just like you study a niche. If you can study individuals, you can find ways that you can tap into their potential, tap into their network, get to know them by studying them, providing value, knowing who they congregate with, what they like, what they enjoy, and see the weaknesses that they have and be able to provide value to those weaknesses. And the big misconception that a lot of people have, Cam, is this idea that rich people don't need things, right? Rich people, they need stuff. Right? Rich people, everybody always has a need. So if you're able to identify those needs for people that you deem valuable, that you want to get to know, study them, just like you did, right? And my building and my networks and my relationships, I attribute it to pay attention to people and figuring out how can I be of service. And if you're of service to people, you don't have to worry about the rest.
I definitely agree with that. And do you think that also kind of translate over, into a business aspect, whether you're selling a product, e-commerce, does that kind of translate into the business side as well?
I mean, yeah, if somebody's giving you their hard-earned dollars, they're giving you their time, they're giving you their attention, you need to be good to people. In business, people think that customers are just like a number, but they're not. They're human beings. And if you treat your products, you treat your company, you treat your organization, your employees, your relationships like human beings, and you understand that on the other side of the screen there's a person with feelings, emotions, needs, wants, you're going to interact with them with a lot more grace and kindness and more intentionality, instead of seeing them as a data point or a dollar sign. And I think that it translates to every aspect of life and everything that you do. So for example, business is just an extension of how you live your life. So, how you do business is most likely how you do every other area of your life. And it's just a reflection of who you are. So how I try to conduct business is just in a way that's authentic and an extension of who I am as a man and the principles and characters that I try to strive to manifest on my daily life.
No, most definitely. And I completely agree. And I want to kind of also touch back, maybe more so, early on in your life as well. Probably people don't know too much. I know you don't really talk too much about your story. Maybe there's a few videos you just recently started telling more. But did you have that same mindset? I know you used to work in restaurants, right? You're working for tips. Is that did you choose that job for a reason?
Yeah, bro. So the first thing is I needed to find somewhere where even as an employee, that I could get paid for my performance. You don't want to get paid to show up. You want to get paid to perform. And the reason I put myself in the beginning in working in bars or in high intensity environments was like, okay, if I can't go get a sales job, let me do the closest thing to it without a resume, without accolades, without education, like formal education, which at the moment I thought that I needed, but you don't actually need it. Thankfully nowadays people can get a ton of sales jobs online and things of this nature where you don't have to wait tables. But every time I would encounter, somebody at the restaurant, my hope was to create somebody that every time they came in, they would be like, yo, where's Luke? Right? You want to be able to leave an impression. And it doesn't matter if you're a waiter. It doesn't matter if you're a cashier. It doesn't matter if you work at a car wash. Like, dude, you could literally be so intelligent that you position yourself in the best car wash where all the rich people come and they know you by name. You're like, hey, this is my personal card. If you ever need me, I know it's a trouble for you to come and bring your car over here. If you ever need anything, hey, slip on my card. You know what? Hey, if you need a one-on-one, I can come take care of your cars. I'll come over to your place. I know you're a busy man. I know you're a busy woman. Let me take care of your stuff. And you start building relationships with people because you start realizing that people have needs. And it doesn't matter where you're starting. Any place, if you do it with enough excellence and with enough intentionality, you can turn into a money-making machine and into a pool of opportunity, brother.
No, and I like that you also mentioned, positioning yourself in that. So is that stuff that you did like throughout your journey, like you're like positioning yourself where the money's at, right? Can you kind of like touch more about that?
Yeah. So people think that it's about hard work, but if it was about hard work, then the Mexicans that are repairing roofs would be the best paid people. The people working in the dish pit in the back of the restaurant, those people would be the best paid people. But why is it that they're not? Because it's not about hard work. Hard work is simply a part of the equation. You have hard work, you have consistency, but you also have to have intentionality and positioning. What is positioning? Positioning is being able to perceive a potential opportunity and put yourself in a scenario where you're going to be able to capitalize at the best time to the fullest extent. For example, in 2020, I realized that there was a cultural shift taking place and that people were starting to get reanimated or re-intrigued with crypto. So I positioned myself in a place understanding that it was going to work really well in that social media, even though I didn't predict how heavy it was going to be. I knew it was going to play a factor. I didn't think it was going to be like crazy with Doge and all the points, but I positioned myself and then it paid off. I didn't have to work crazy amounts. I didn't have to go super nuts, balls to the walls, trying to figure out how do I have to bust my butt trying to make money. No, I just positioned myself, and I positioned myself because like you did with me, I paid attention. I was aware of what was happening, and I put myself in the scenarios and the situations where I would have an edge. Because in life, you don't need to be a million steps ahead. All you need is to be a little bit ahead. Usain Bolt versus the other guys, perfect. He would win by 3, 4, 5 meters. But if the other person maybe had an edge, maybe had wind to his advantage, maybe Usain Bolt slipped because his shoes weren't working properly, those little edges are what's going to allow you to outbeat and outpace your competitor in any realm of human endeavor.
And do you think that, in order to achieve, that level of like, if you want to call it success, you have to increase every attribute of yourself. So that might as well obviously include health.
Yeah, I mean, health is the foundation of everything that you do. So for example, you could lack anything in your life, but if you still have your health, you're chilling, right? Like you could be homeless, but if you had your health, you could still make it. But for example, let's say you have family and you love your family. Perfect. But you could still live without your family, but you can't live without your health. Health is the foundation. It's the pillar to anything that you build. Mental health, physical health, spiritual health. These are the pillars on which you build everything in your life. So people neglect the most foundational things because they don't understand that the things that they put value on are the wrong things. People put value on things that they can replace. They can replace the car, they can replace the house, but they neglect and they take for granted the things that they cannot replace. You will not get a new body, you will not get a new brain, you won't get new lungs. I see so many people hitting these vapes 24/7. You're not going to get new kidneys. So this understanding that you need to take advantage of being healthy because it is a key pillar to your growth and your success. Nothing matters if you're dead. Nothing matters if, like Steve Jobs, in your 50s, you're diagnosed with cancer. It doesn't matter that you built $1 trillion company. You don't get to enjoy the fruits of your labor. And I guarantee you, I'm not 100% certain, but I would bet that he would give it all up in order to be alive again or in order to live longer. I certainly would, because that's what, at the end of the day, what truly matters. And I think if people can establish it as a habit to be healthy, to be whole, right? I think they're going to live a better life. And I think that that's what entrepreneurship is about. It's not about business. It's about living a life of fullness and a life of freedom across the board.
And I think purpose as well, you know, like being able to like walk with purpose and like have that, I think is really important towards just, you know, really getting far in life.
I agree with you, Cam, because why do you wake up in the morning? At one point, waking up in the morning just to make money ain't enough. Like when you got enough money, you know what I mean? Like when you got enough money where your rent's paid for, you can go out to Whole Foods, spend a couple $100 at the restaurant, and like you're chilling. Exactly. Then what's your next motivation? That's the plateau where I see most entrepreneurs right now, which is why we reactivated Capital Club to become the largest network in the world. Like people plateauing, and I look at people, I'm like, bro. Like you just went from 1 to 2 and you plateaued at 2 because you thought that money was the trick. No, bro, you're just getting started. Right. Because the position that you're in right now is the position of comfort. What is comfort? That you've made enough money to sustain yourself. But that's the beauty. The beauty is that you need to be able to just make enough to be able to focus on yourself full time. Cam, imagine that your job was fully developing yourself 24/7. Imagine you didn't work. Imagine all you did was develop yourself 18 hours a day. How far ahead would you be of all your competitors? How accelerated would you be compared to everybody else in the marketplace? So far beyond any person that I've ever met. Right. And if you have the opportunity to do that, you need to capitalize it. But I see entrepreneurs make money and then plateau and be like, well, I have no purpose. The purpose now is develop yourself. Like the purpose is take it to the next level. Now that you've made it, right, it's time to grind, but you need to work on yourself. And when you work on yourself, more opportunities, more people, better opportunities are going to be attracted towards you because you are attracting these things based off of who you're becoming.